My husband laid his hands on me because my coworker talked to me at work. My husband cheated on me for 2 years. However, every time he gets a new friend, he thinks I am into them or making love with them. I got from him because I hugged his friend after helping his wife give birth at home and his friend was trying to say thank you. I didn't want to hug the guy anyway, but I was being polite and we were in their house. I got a new job at a restaurant, and one of my coworkers is really attention-seeking, and he is dating another girl coworker. We have karaoke nights on the Mondays that I work, and the coworker always comes and sings a lot and is drunk. I don't talk to this dude or acknowledge him because my husband thinks he is attention-seeking. I sang a song at karaoke, and my coworker commented on it. Now my husband is mad because he says I don't have boundaries when I ask him to have boundaries with women. His friend was a few hours late to meet up with him the other day. I was home alone and cleaning the house and had music on. My husband called me 10 times and I didn't notice because I was cleaning it and didn't have my phone. I also missed a call from my friend. I answered his last call, and he accused me of having his friend over and making love with him. We even had a friend who was a homeless junkie dude, and the friend talked to me about how he's making love with some dude's wife while my husband was right there picking stuff up. He got mad at me for having that conversation, and I agreed that it was inappropriate and won't talk to him by myself anymore. Junkie dude made dinner another night and he was being really insecure about his cooking and kept asking if it was okay, so I told him it was great because I honestly wanted him to shut up. I mentioned how my husband makes amazing food. I was punished for a week over this and there was violence. Today, we were arguing because the coworker thing happened last night. He wanted to leave so I tried to get in the car to stop him. He got in the car and told me what he was going to do and then it started. It was bad. I opened the car door and yelled for my landlord to help as she lives right on the property. She helped us calm down and he apologized and says he doesn't like having rules on him. I asked him to have boundaries with women. The advice I'm really looking for is, has anyone ever been with someone who is very traumatized? He was a child refugee from Africa. His relationship with his mom is bad. She showed no love. Him and his siblings starved so that she could buy gold jewelry and she stole all their money. He was in a relationship with a woman 20 years older than him who has 7 children and is an alcoholic and physically hurtful and cheated on him the whole time and severely put him down. I have a lot of empathy for him and have seen him grow a lot and am proud of him for how far he has come, but also some things like his insecurity are not changing fast enough for me to even be or feel safe. I had a hard life. I was harmed a lot as a child. I was put in lockdown facilities from 13 to 18 because my parents listened to therapists and thought I was mentally ill. Despite all of these things, I am an extremely positive and optimistic person. I learned how to heal myself, and in the lockdowns, I learned how to find freedom within myself when I had nothing. I have always been psychologically aware and intelligent in the way that I can help people, help myself, and I can understand what is going on in people's hearts. I see the true person that wants to be free in him who is caged by all of his pain, but it has taken a toll on me. His cheating made me lose myself and I was a shell of a human until recently. I have been getting back up on my feet, but I feel like because I have better energy now, men are becoming more attracted to me, and now my husband is starting to become paranoid and insecure again when I have never betrayed him like that, and I never will. But when you're paranoid, everything you see feeds your assumptions. I guess I am just wondering, has anyone been with someone so traumatized and had to be patient for their growth? I can deal with a lot, and I know that humans are complex. I don't expect a perfect person. Thank you for taking the time. Update, it's been a month, and he is gone. I let him keep the car because it was the only way to get him to leave as soon as possible. My family came. It was the longest we had gone without seeing each other. He had us hating each other for the past year, so it was really nice for everyone to reconnect and for me to remember who I am. They helped me get a car. But the main thing is that I love my life. Literally, wow. Existing is amazing. I'm so happy to own my life and not to live in fear anymore, not to have so much hatred and paranoia inside of me. I started to become someone I never wanted to be in that relationship, my own anger and violence. I thought the only way to get out was to let him finish me off because things had gotten so codependent. All the cheating on me made me feel so attached to him. I wanted him to fix how I felt. My past relationships were bad, but in a more calm way. I was not used to something like that. I never understood why people stayed in hell like this, but here I found myself. For anyone else who also feels stuck, freedom is right around the corner. It hurts, but if you go through it, things get better so much faster than you can ever imagine. I can't explain how amazing my life feels now so quickly. Thank you everyone for your support and words and honesty. I am so happy to be alive.
My child is a sociopath and we don't talk anymore. She started out like any child, as far as I can tell. I have 4 children and spent the better part of my life teaching in some capacity, and there was never anything that screamed out to me that there was an issue. Little things along the way that now feel so much bigger, but nothing shocking or concerning. When she entered middle school she began changing quickly. Around this time, I got divorced, and I thought she just needed some time to adjust. We were in family and individual therapy and nobody seemed concerned. Her behavior and demeanor spiraled out of control, and about a year ago, began spiraling even quicker. Her therapist called me at work last fall and said she could not work with my child anymore, that something horrific had come out in therapy and she was out of her element. She said that my child needed inpatient care. We had done this many times, and more intensive therapy. We took her inpatient and then by some miracle scraped together an ungodly sum of money, and got her enrolled in a highly intensive therapy program. We put cameras all throughout the house and locks on our smaller children's doors and set booby traps in the hall so we could hear if she was coming to anyone's room. We weren't sleeping a wink. We even called CPS on ourselves, hoping to get some help to protect the smaller children. I called my ex and asked them to take custody. He wouldn't. I never thought I would get to that point. We enrolled in intensive family therapy, but my partner and I and our adult son were the only ones who did our homework, not my daughter. The PA that prescribed her medications was the lone, unconcerned person, who screamed at my partner and I for an hour one day when we shared our concerns that current treatments weren't working. She said that we misunderstood our child and that she wasn't dangerous, and that she needed more attention. I didn't know how to give her more attention. We are such a close-knit family. She and I had activities we did together, and we did family game nights and movie nights and ate family dinner every evening together. She was the one who would behave so badly that family dinners became silent to avoid her screaming or hurting people. She was the one who would refuse to vote for a movie and then scream at us when we decided on one, then refuse to watch. We had so many heart-to-heart conversations that ended in cruelty and abuse on her part. Nothing we did worked. There was no more attention we could give her. She didn't want positive attention. Her boyfriend came to us and told us that she wanted a bad home life and that if she couldn't have it, she'd make it. He was angry and concerned because he truly did have a bad home life. Of course, I was plagued with self-doubt the whole time. Concerned I was overreacting. And this made me feel even worse. Even though everyone else around me seemed to understand the gravity of the situation, I was naive. She marched into our room in February and made a bombshell announcement that sealed everyone's fate. No number of cameras or therapies or sleepless nights listening for noises could protect our smaller children. There were threats towards the adults, but those were not the main concern. The things my child spewed that day will forever be burned on my brain. I don't think I was aware enough to realize this was the last time my baby would be home. But we packed up some things and took her to the ER on the suggestion of her doctor. She hasn't been home since. I stopped eating. I was throwing up daily. I still couldn't sleep. They sent her to a residential treatment center, and they emailed us some pamphlets and studies about the kind of future kids like her have. It was grim. They are victims. They are taken advantage of. They can't hold jobs. But worst of all, they are constantly victimizing others. They said she is just shy of the legal age she can be diagnosed with ASPD, but that it is surely coming. And I see it. I see it now. For the first few months we spoke on the phone a few times a week, and every time we got off the phone I would want to pass away. She was refusing meds and was violently attacking her peers in the facility. She would say horrible things to me. After phone calls, I would throw up and cry until I threw up some more and my relationships at home began to suffer. I was pushing everyone away. Finally, my therapist, partner and adult son intervened and said that they thought the phone calls should stop because they were hurtful. I didn't see it that way, but two of them had heard the calls. They pointed out that our smaller children would act out and have nightmares on phone call days, and that I would walk around crying and zoned out for days after the calls. My therapist said you have to sacrifice one to save the rest. That's just the way it is. I am so full of grief and shame and anger. It eats at me constantly. I know that she is a cruel person, but she was so good at pretending to be normal and kind to get what she wanted, that all I can see now are those times, those smiles. I think about my baby all alone in a facility, not having any family to talk to. Then I think about my other children and how their lives could easily be ruined and taken down a similar or worse path if I let her anywhere near them. I think about the horrible, disgusting things I found in her room. I will never get those out of my head. The things she stole from us that were creepy or just plain mean. Things she couldn't or wouldn't use but that meant something to others. The more I find out over time, the more horrified I am that this is my child. I am grieving like she is dead, but she isn't, and there are no casserole trains or days off of work or Hallmark cards for something like this. The second she turns 18, I am so afraid she will end up on the streets, and I don't know if I am more concerned about what will happen to her or what will happen to the people around her. The things she likes and wants to do are unfathomable to me. I am broken. Everyone who knows, my therapist and 2 friends, tells me I have done the right thing. My smaller children don't have nightmares anymore and our home is happy and peaceful. And once I stopped taking phone calls, my health got a little better. But I think I will always have a huge hole in my heart, and I don't think the fear and grieving will ever end. I don't really feel like I can talk to anyone about it because they all were able to be cut and dry about it. I don't know why I can't. I know everyone wants me to snap out of it, but it's just not happening. It's all been weighing on me so heavily. I had to get it out.
My boyfriend is getting too comfortable. Me and my boyfriend have been together for almost 3 years, and living together for almost 2. I'm at university and work as a manager, and he has a full-time job at around 30 to 40 hours a week. At the start it was your stereotypical happy and progressive relationship. He'd give me flowers, make me coffee in the mornings, I'd cook his favorite meals if he had a bad day, and we would go on dates. Our friends used us as a template for the perfect relationship since we knew how to communicate, and anything that almost became a fight was resolved within the day. We were both on the exact same wavelength with everything. In the past year, it's become really difficult to have good communication. I've kept doing what we've always done and brought up anything bothering me and how we can resolve it, but he started making empty promises. For example, my university semester started and I got a promotion at work, so I asked him if we could shuffle the house chores a bit since I was doing way more hours. He said yeah of course and did the normal hug and kiss, but nothing changed. If I bring it up again, he just brushes it off as yeah I'll do it later, but he doesn't. I thought he might have been struggling with something that he didn't want to tell me about, so I gave him more leeway and just asked for a little bit of help here and there. So I would make dinner and just ask that he unloads the dishwasher afterwards, but he would do the same thing, agree but pretend I hadn't asked. The final straw for me was a couple days ago. We were getting a bunch of furniture moved to our house and my parents were helping us at 10 a.m. I told my BF this and he said that's completely fine, but he's already agreed to go clubbing with our friends. I said that's fine as long as he helps me clear out the living room for the new furniture before he leaves. He says that his friends want to have a house party until 6, and I say we can't be out that late but we can stay out until 3. He says that's fine. I hadn't been on a night out in ages, so they invited me along. I had just got a new dress and I was really excited to go out. I got my dress and makeup ready and told my BF that we had to start moving furniture now if it was gonna be ready in the morning. He said sure, give him a minute to finish a fight in his video game. I started moving things and not gonna lie, really struggled with the heavy stuff, so I reminded him to help me move things. He tells me to wait. 2 hours go by with me struggling to lift couches and he jumps into the room, dressed up and ready to leave. He quickly tells me that he's ordered a taxi and is leaving soon. I ask what about moving the furniture. He just shrugs. I say that I can't go on a night out without moving this stuff first. He just brushes it off. I remind him to at least be back by 4 a.m. so that he won't be super hungover while helping in the morning. Long story short, I had to stay home and move the furniture so we would have room in the morning. He still went out without me. I was done by about 1 a.m. and woke up at about 7 and he still wasn't home. He answered and told me he was at the house party, but he'll be home soon. He got home exactly 10 minutes before my parents arrived. In short, he promised he would be home by 3 but came home at 10 a.m., made me stay home alone to sort the furniture, and when the furniture was finally in the house he refused to help me move any of it again. This happens constantly. If he promises to make dinner, I end up making myself a sandwich at midnight because he didn't do it. If he promises to wash our clothes, he only washes clothes that he is going to wear the next day. He promises to buy me flowers again, but it's been almost a year since he has. I brought this up to him yesterday night, saying that I didn't feel loved, and felt used since I do everything. He again had the conversation saying he knows he's made mistakes, and he'll do anything to help me feel loved. I asked one thing, help me in the morning with chores. He promised. Guess what happened? I of course ended up doing all of them myself. I'm getting so fed up of mothering him and forgiving him continuously, and this is the first time in 3 years I've actually thought about leaving. I know that I won't because I really do love him and his family, but nothing I do can get through to him.